Hey there guys, gals, and non-binary pals, it's Goremiser here to talk to you today in depth about Jormungandr, the world serpent himself, and everything that he can bring to your conquest games. So who is Jormungandr, and what exactly does he do? Well, you're looking at a guardian, but a little different from your typical guardian. He's got ranged autos, and to set him apart even further, Jormungandr best fits over there in the solo lane on the opposite side of the map as most of his guardian brethren. Now Jormungandr, he's all about control. His large stature in the game draws your attention, and his abilities help him disrupt the opposing team's backline, allowing you to control the flow of a fight for your team. But what is it that makes him fit the solo lane better than maybe being a regular guardian? Well, his scaling and his abilities do allow him to do the same thing that you would like out of your typical tank. His passive, Immovable, allows him to be a solid counter to most warriors, which makes it very difficult to take complete control of the lane away from him. And what helps Jormungandr control the fight more than his passive? You'll see that he's ridiculously huge in-game, and his passive fits alongside that. Jormungandr cannot be affected by hard displacement, so we're talking knockups, knockbacks, things like that. But it does come with a cost. Instead, he gets Dazed, a fading, non-cleansable slow that increases the damage he takes by 15% for 2 seconds. He also has an interesting twist to most Guardians, which is that he is ranged. He's got a cone-based attack that is based on his breath. So instead of having an attack chain, there's a meter that are kind of his lungs, and they show how long you can hold that basic attack. These basics aren't affected by attack speed items, and instead attack speed increases how fast you recharge that meter, allowing you to attack more in the long run, much like him taking a deep inhale before being able to blow out his breath one more time. Now Jormungandr's first ability, Venomous Haze, is easily his most important, as his other basic abilities play off of it. It's a simple area where Jorm spits and creates a toxic cloud. This does damage and slows enemy, and it lasts 20 seconds on the ground until you utilize one of your other abilities with it. Jormungandr's main clear is his second ability, Consuming Bellow. At base, this ability not only deals damage, but also allows Jormungandr to trimmel and slow enemy gods, giving him the option to control the lane and force his opponent out of their comfort zone. If you use Consuming Bellow while you're near any of the toxic clouds, then you can increase the size of the ability, and it deals extra damage to enemies hit. You'll be empowered as well for a short duration, which allows you to fire off your basic attacks at their fastest rate. Now, as large as he is, Jormungandr does still have the ability to stealth. That's right, this serpent can still disappear. Submerged allows you to dive into the ground, becoming stealthed, moving faster, and sensing enemies in a large radius. Once you jump out of your stealth, you knock up enemies that are around you and you deal damage. If you emerge through a toxic cloud, though, you create 2 new clouds in the direction that you're facing with a lower duration than the normal ones, but still 2 new clouds. But viewer beware, while stealth is a great mechanic that can allow you to get unnoticed in a fight, or maybe even get out safely, Jormungandr's stealth can be broken by taking damage, so if you get hit by a stray shot, everyone knows where you're at. Now this is where the real fun in the kit is. The World Serpent, Jormungandr's ultimate. It's easily one of the coolest abilities in SMITE. So after a short delay, Jormungandr dives into the ground and prepares to attack. As you select areas, Jormungandr jumps from spot to spot, much larger than he is normally, dealing damage in those areas as well as wherever his body slams into the ground. When you emerge or submerge in this ability, you'll also knock up enemies in the area, and with each submerge, you will be leaving behind a toxic cloud. This ability is multifaceted. I mean, you can use it to engage on enemies using the knock-up to control the fight for your team. You could use it to chase a kill if that pesky hunter in the backline continues to manage to escape with low health, or, and this is one of my personal favorites, you can use it as a guaranteed disengage from a fight in the event that your health gets too low. If that enemy jungler just keeps showing their face in your lane, this ability is your best way to get away from them. You don't risk yourself like in the stealth, and you are immune to damage while you're channeling it. So chaining these abilities together is going to be difficult for you, but it will be the difference between having an okay game as Jormungandr and a fantastic game. Your main focus will be on Consuming Bellow and how to make it work for you. Specifically, you should level Consuming Bellow first for your clear, then go into Venomous Haze to make sure you can expand that ability. For the first 5 levels, your points should go into Consuming Bellow, Venomous Haze, Submerge, Consuming Bellow again, and then World Serpent to get your ult. And then once your ult is online, you're going to focus on leveling up your abilities in this order. The World Serpent, your ultimate, the most important, Consuming Bellow, Venomous Haze, and then Submerge finally. This will give you all of the utility available to you by level 5, but it will give you the best clear and damage options when you need them immediately. Now, once you get the hang of your abilities, what items will mesh well with Jormungandr's play? Since your focus of play as a Guardian late game is to be able to jump into the enemy and disrupt their backline, you'll be looking more towards items that can build your tankiness. In the solo lane, however, you'll need to be able to keep up in terms of lane clear in order to ensure that you don't lose your lane. Luckily enough, SMITE has a ton of hybrid items that fit well on Jormungandr. Jade Emperor's Crown can help give you the magical power you need to just hit that little extra bit harder, while giving you physical protection and reducing your opponent's physical power while nearby. Great against those pesky warriors. Breastplate of Valor could give you the physical protections you need while offering that sweet, sweet cooldown reduction to allow you to disrupt your opponents even more. And something like Hide of the Urchin gives you protections, health, mana, and just a little bit of shielding that can help you be the best secondary frontline your team could ask for. And while these items are great and can apply to a lot of situations, you do want to always make sure that you read whatever these items can do for you, and then choose the item that best fits your situation and your lane matchup. So how do we put all that together? How does it translate into lane and give you the control you want from a Guardian late game? Well, first things first, as was mentioned earlier, you will want to bring Jormungandr into the solo lane. His inability to get displaced allows him to box with some of the more popular warriors. Starting out, your main focus will be on 2 things: the wave and your blue buff. Whenever your jungler rotates over, and maybe sometimes even if they don't, you'll want to split your blue buff with them to get the gold, the experience, but most importantly, the sustain in the lane that mana regeneration is going to provide for you. In solo, you'll also find that a lot of your early game is focused around farming, so relics like Teleport are going to be very popular to make sure that you're getting as much done in your lane as possible. The thing about Jormungandr that helps you here is that his Guardian scaling and crowd control in his abilities allows him to stalemate a lane. You might not have the high kill potential that some of the warriors can bring, but you have survivability like no other. Killing you, it's gonna be difficult. Controlling the minions is an important aspect of laning as Jormungandr. Because of how Jormungandr's basic attacks work, you can afford to hit the enemy god in your lane because that's gonna pull the minions onto yourself. Using that, you can walk the melee minions next to the archers, use your Venomous Haze Consuming Bellow combination that we had mentioned earlier, and get a full clear. But you do need to be careful when you do this. Minions do a lot more damage than you expect in the early levels. Farm is nice, but it's not worth dying for. As you level up, you'll have a couple of things to focus on in lane outside of just the minions. Boxing with your opponent, ganks on your lane by either your jungler or the enemy jungler, and the Totem of Coup. The ganks will help you get kills to get ahead. The Totem of Coup will allow you to give your team a small buff that's going to help them all around the map. If you start to fall behind though, don't be afraid to just hang back and farm minions to catch back up. The hardest part about solo lane is knowing when to gank and join teamfights. A lot of that is going to depend on your lead, it's going to depend on how well you've been controlling your lane, but it's also going to depend on your teleport, especially in the mid game. With an upgraded teleport glyph, you can teleport to wards, which allows you to have easy rotations over to the Gold Fury if your team needs you. As a general rule of thumb, you should probably not be rotating until around level 10 at the absolute earliest. If there is a fight that's happening on your side of the jungle, feel free to go help your team win, or ensure that they make it out alive. If you have a comfortable lead over your opponent, which is about 1 to 2 levels, then you can risk some rotations over to the middle lane to assist your team in a fight. Just remember though, even though kills are important, so is farming. Every rotation is going to cost you some farm, so you want to make sure that you won't lose too much by leaving your lane. As Jormungandr, you have a lot of area control. Using Submerge fused with Venomous Haze creates a lot of slow fields that will make it difficult for an enemy to engage in a fight. Since Consuming Bellow trembles and slows, it makes a great disruption of the enemy backline, allowing your team to collapse in and get those much needed kills on the enemy carries. And if things get too dicey, don't be afraid to use your ult to disengage. While it is a great way to travel the map and knock up enemies, you don't take damage once you're jumping around, so it is a great way to save your life and get out of a fight alive. Your main goal is going to be disrupting the backline with your abilities and being the second frontline that your team needs next to your Guardian. And that's Jormungandr. As one of the top solo lane picks, he brings a lot of versatility and disruption to a fight that allows you to set up your team left and right. So slink on over to that solo lane, farm up, and be the cataclysmic world serpent that your team needs.